What's up, Godzilla fans? Samson West here, and I have a brand new Godzilla figure review for you today. Now, I'm going to be deviating away from the X Plus Godzilla figure reviews for today. I know, I'm sorry. But I still have an awesome Godzilla figure to show you nonetheless. Here he is, the Bandai 8-inch Godzilla, 1991. That's right. This is one of the most sought-after Bandai figures in existence. Well, except for those other ones that are really high up on the list, but this one is pretty damn cool. At least that's my opinion. This is actually a requested Godzilla figure review that I'm bringing you today. My very good buddy Chris wanted me to do this guy, and Chris, I hope this figure review is bloody brilliant. That's an inside joke. Sorry if you guys don't get it. Anyway, like I said, one of the most sought after Bandai figures in existence, mainly because this is the closed mouth Godzilla. You go into eBay and you type in closed mouth Godzilla figure and press enter. This is probably the only thing that'll pop up. There may be some other weird things out there that, like little things, gashapons, and stuff like that. But for the most part, this guy is what's going to be showing up. And something else that's awesome about this guy, I actually have, it's awesome about mine, I should say. What's awesome about mine is the fact that this is made in Korea. There are two different versions of this figure, made in Japan and made in Korea. Mine says made in Korea on the bottom of the foot. That's the dead giveaway. The made in Japan one, that's the original one that everybody kind of wants. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me too much because I'm not like a hardcore Godzilla fan. I'm just a hardcore Godzilla fan. And I like just awesome toys all around, but it's not going to kill me that I don't have the Japanese one. And there are very slight differences between the Japanese one and the Korean one, as you see here. And I'm going to get onto that in the detailed portion of the review, which we're going to right now! Okay, detail on this guy. Let's zoom in on this sucker and talk about all the little nitpicky things that make him look really awesome. Okay, detail on this guy. As I was trying to describe to you before, the sculpt on the Korean version is just a little bit different than the sculpt on the Japanese version. You can see that the eyes on the Korean version are more purple, while on the Japanese version they're supposedly orange. The teeth are more of like a orange type color instead of ivory. They're supposed to be ivory on the Japanese, like kind of more white. Now, look at the skin texture on this guy. It's a little bit more sandpapery than it is scaly like Godzilla should be, but it still looks badass. I mean, look at that right there. That is neat. And it has highlights right here on the chest. There's silver highlights right there, and on each of the hands and on the toes, you can see that the highlights there. I mean, look at how great that looks. That's sculpted so just, it's hard to not get off on that. Now, look at the spines going up and down the back. That looks really cool, doesn't it? It looks awesome. And you can see every single little spine on the tail, his little nasty, chubby, grubby-looking tail. So, detail's just awesome. You just saw the entire thing from head to toe, and it looks great. So there you go. There's all the neat little things that I have to say about this guy with the paint and the sculpt, and you know what I'm talking about, that go into making this a very awesome Bandai figure. Okay, Articulation up next. Alright, Articulation on this guy. Being that this is not an X Plus statue figure and that it's a Bandai toy, it's meant to be played with and articulated. But not mine. Mine's a collectible, so don't touch. But you can look at it while I articulate it for you. Just don't touch it. Okay? Okay. First thing that spins on this guy is going to be the head. The head can spin a full 360 degrees like that. But this is a very hard vinyl figure because most of the Bandai figures that were made in the 1980s when they first got started and the early 90s are all very hard vinyl toys. You guys know what I'm talking about. Figures such as this, the Bandai Baragon, the Bandai Gorosaurus, Bandai King Kong, and so on and so forth. They're all very hard vinyl figures. So since they're so stiff, they don't articulate that well. But it can articulate, so let's get back into it. Now, both his arms can go to the side, as you can see here, and he looks like he's going, say, what? And then you can put his little tiny figure arms towards the front. Sorry, I had a brain fart right there. I have that a lot. Brain farts. He put his arms more towards his big old Godzilla keg. Godzilla didn't have a six-pack. He has a keg. And he looks like a little velociraptor. So he's like, velociraptor. Yeah. So, yeah. It can do that. Now, with the feet. His giant Godzilla thunder thighs can go all the way up to there. And then his other leg can spin all the way to there. Doesn't go much farther than that. His inner thigh fat won't let it go much farther. But he does look like Charlie Brown trying to kick that football. Woo! And he misses. Don't worry, Charlie. We'll get it someday. We'll get that football. So it articulates ever so... that's not slightly. It articulates a little in his thighs, but not a lot. Now, with the tail, it doesn't articulate that well because the piece that fits into the hole on this piece of the tail, it's molded funny, so it won't spin. It's hard vinyl, so it's not easy to do. Along with the piece that fits into the ass of this figure, you try to put it in there and try to spin it, and it won't do nothing. But I'm sure if you got a hairdryer and took it out and heated it up nice and soft, you could spin it nice and good. Yeah, nice and good. That's how we talk here in the South. We don't have proper words for things we try to say. Okay, so those are the 7 points of articulation in the sky. Moving on to sizing. Alright, sizing on this guy. Sizing is done pretty well with most of the figures that were made alongside this one. So let's pull out my first figure to compare next to this guy. Here is the Bandai 6-inch Godzillasaurus from the 50th Anniversary Memorial Box. That's right. Here he is, the Memorial Box Godzillasaurus. Now, you put these guys next to each other, and they actually technically don't size up that great. Only reason being is the fact that Godzillasaurus was like 70 feet tall in the movie, and Godzilla was hundreds and hundreds of feet tall. So for these guys to be this big next to each other in figure form, that would make this Godzilla figure a couple hundred feet tall compared to the Godzilla, or the Godzillasaurus figure a couple hundred feet tall, while the Godzilla is like 400 feet tall. At least I think. I don't know that much about the Heisei movies, I'm sorry. So it doesn't size up that great. Alright, next figure. Here is the Bandai 6-inch King Ghidorah, also from the 50th Anniversary Memorial Box. Well, as you can see here, this is another thing where it doesn't size up that great. Because in the movie, you all know that the King Ghidorah was huge. He was freaking up here on this guy. He was like, I don't know if this depth perception is doing anything for you, but I'm trying to show how like huge he is. So anyway, these guys don't size up is what I'm trying to get at, basically. So there we go with that. But this next figure is amazing looking next to this guy. Here is my Bandai Mecha King Ghidorah. That's right. This is one of the most awesome Mecha King Ghidorah figures in existence. I mean, this is just, oh, it's badass. You look at that right there, that's perfect. I mean, he's supposed to be this freaking huge next to him. The King Ghidorah figure that I just showed you should have been this tall, but it's not, so, oh well. Now, I love this Mecha King Ghidorah figure, but what would be amazing to have would be the Forever Series Mecha King Ghidorah. My good friend Rich has that one because he's a total hardcore Godzilla collector. I'm just hardcore. He's hardcore! So this is perfect. I don't know what else to say about it except for, Now let's put this guy away! Last figure to compare next to this guy. Here is my Bandai 6-inch Godzilla 1994. So, as you see here, this is just a little show for you guys to see that 6-inch figures and 8-inch figures don't work next to each other. But it's just, like I said, it's just a show so you can see the differences between 6-inch and 8-inch. And there you go. Don't really know what else to say except for these don't work, and bada bing, bada boom, that's what they look like next to each other. Alright, let's go ahead and wrap up this figure review and give this guy a score. Alright, let's give this guy a score. Detail is very well done in this guy, being that this is one of the only accurate representations of the 1991 Godzilla. So, I mean, it's awesome. There's nothing wrong to say about the detail. With articulation, it's okay. You can move in the arms and the head, and the legs can move a little bit, but it's a very stiff figure, so it doesn't move too much. And with sizing, it works pretty damn well with figures like your Mecha King Ghidorah, and actually that's it. But with your other figures like regular King Ghidorah, it doesn't really work. This is an 8-inch figure that was supposed to go along with the 1991 figures released at the same time. Not so much these 6-inch toys. So, sizing is actually pretty awesome. Giving this guy a score, I would have to give him a 9 out of 10. Only because everything else is awesome about him except for the articulation. It doesn't move a whole lot and it's really stiff. But the small points that it does have move okay, and you can pose him in ways that you really want to. The only thing you really kind of want to do is move his arms a little different. You don't really need his head to be over here and his leg jutting out over there for him to look cool. So, yeah, there we go. Alright, there's another one of my slightly awkward, funny, cool, maybe not so interesting Godzilla figure reviews that hopefully maybe you guys liked. This is just a little different way that I'm going to try to do my figure reviews because I like being on camera so you guys can see how I'm emoting myself with the figure. Yeah. So, there's everything I had to say about this awesome figure. So Chris, I hope you enjoyed this. This is my spin on it, as you would say. So, everybody, thanks for watching, and sayonara!